Hey guys, welcome back. By the way, I've finally sorted out my camera issue. Apparently there's a way to set this to super steady for when you're recording while running for some reason. Today we are going to be covering building Yarrick. Now, first of all, the newly announced Yarrick does not have a listed base size, so I have two. This is a 32mm base size. As you can see, another 32mm base size. Same size because it's my Cadian Castellan. Funny enough, I was thinking about this. I could have just made him into Yarrick, as it ended up turning out, but whatever. Either way, rather than just kind of try and take advantage of the fact he got announced, which I'm definitely not doing now, don't question that, I have decided to make it one. Now, like I said, bigger base size is optional. I don't think he's going to be on a 40mm base size, which is what this is. This is a 32. These were both used before, but at worst, I can always just magnetize one, put it on top of the other, so you can kind of flip and flap between the two. But what we have decided on is how we're going to, or what we've landed on is how we're going to build them. So, to help with that, I have two of my most important bits boxes. Well, one of these is most important, the other, this one's kind of iffy. That one we can just set off to the side, that doesn't matter. For now, anyway. And that's my sci-fi bits box. That's not arms and stuff like that. That's just spare generic sci-fi bits. Like this, which is Caradron Overlords, because yes, they are a sci-fi faction. May as well be if in fantasy you have steampunk. Or at least that's where they fit in better. It's also got stuff like spare plasma cannons, stuff like that. And most importantly, spare baggage. Things like this that we can use. We're going to assume, by the way, obviously, that Yarrick ends up on a 32mm base. This is just mud styling, so we'll go with that. But now the issue is we have to decide how he's going to look. And I have a few leg choices that I have set across here. And we're going to focus on that first. So I have a few options. I can go with the Custodes leg. It'll look very imperial. It'll be very nice in the sense of it's got a lot of, like, Aquilas and stuff. But it's got a few problems. Number one, this was one of my first kits I got. So as you can see, it is a mess. It is also painted terribly, and I'm actually missing... Actually, I don't think I am missing any of the Tarouges down here. But these are poorly built. There's gunk all over in there. And it started foaming for some reason. Like, I don't know how to explain it better than that. It just got whatever that is. So this is probably out. Plus, what's the point of having a Commissar who's a basic sized dude if already up to his waist is chest height of a normal soldier, especially considering most of my army is supposed to be basic dudes. So I think we're going to set this aside as much as the heavy armor would look good. Now we do have an option here. So my other choices are the basic Cadian command legs. They look good. They will fit well no matter what. So that's kind of the runner-up. That's the most important one right now. That's going to win against everything else so far. Then I have two options. I have an Empire Greatsword pair of legs. It fits in the style of my army, being kind of Italian based in like early Renaissance and all that style. Which looks okay, but it's actually it's about the same height, I guess, but it's also a lot less movement in it. It's also oriented towards the left, where it's coming forward, which is not really the style. I like my guys more oriented, like they're going towards, like, yes, even this guy's leg is pointed left, but all the action is pointing to his right, where he's looking to the, like, his right, our left, obviously. You understand what I mean. Essentially, I like him, if he's going this way, the action should be going this way. So it's kind of like, like an angle. Anyway, so that's the issue with these next two legs. Actually, I guess all of the legs are going left to right. But we've got a Blood Reaver pair of legs and this pair of legs. Now, this one's kind of small and wimpy. But to be fair, it's also accurate to the Guardsman legs. Like, these are thicker and all, but, like, they're still pretty much normal sized. This is where it starts getting funny, because he will be bigger. Sorry, I'm just got to bend that down a bit. This one will be bigger, ever so slightly, than this one. It's hard to see, but he will be bigger. You can see better there. He's about stomach height with the bottom of his waist. Which is actually good to show off that he is a special character. The only problem is now this kind of cuts us away from a bit of ability that I had to use. So that's where we'll kind of get into the quick next discussion. We got a few bodies here. The armored one was more so if we ended up sticking with the custodian pair of legs, which would have obviously needed adjustment, but I'm not sure it'll really work well with this because heavily armored chest doesn't go too too well with a Blood Reaver body. Or Blood Reaver legs. Problem is, this thicker body also does not go with a Guardsman body. Which this is the Gorget on armor that looks really good for this kind of commander. Also, if I really wanted to, I could just do normal Cadian commander body, Gorget on armor, and then the Cadian officer head. And that's pretty much the default that we're going to go with. Problem is, this is a really good pair of legs, and I want to use it. But the bodies just don't really line up. So unfortunately, that one's going to have to go as well. Which leaves us with these two legs. So I guess that's kind of where we're going to end up with. Took us 6 minutes to decide on a pair of legs. That's great. Now, the bodies are kind of interchangeable. They should largely be okay either way. I might actually have to clip off the belt if I do this, which is not ideal because I only have one of these, and I don't have Omiru or whatever that blue, don't have blue stuff to replicate this, so I would have to cut off the edge and then hope nothing bad happened, which I can do, I just don't want to. And even so, I think we will still go with this in the end. This is just a good pairing, and I can turn that a little bit. I think we'll go with that. The most important issue, though, is the arms, and obviously the designs around him. So, the command squad that I was really excited about has a small issue, and that is that here is the bolter. Bolt pistol, really good. Here's the power fist, really also good. Problem is, they're both a right-handed weapon. So, unless I get a kit of Space Marines for no reason other than to get a single weapon out of it, I cannot really give him a bolt pistol and a power fist. But I cannot adjust the bolt pistol or the power fist at all. It has to be a right hand. And to be fair, Yarrick's right hand is his, actually, I'm fairly sure it's his right arm. I'm fairly sure his right arm's the one that has the power claw on it. So I think we're going to leave the power fist as is. That'll be the one that stays normal. We're going to clip it off of this arm, obviously, but apparently we're going to lose it below the desk now. Just got it. We're good. The bolt pistol is going to be the issue. So I really need a bolt pistol because, I'd like that to go, because Yarrick has an auto bolt thing in his hand. Sorry, I keep leaving this guy here. So I guess what we're kind of settling on is here. Give me a sec. I'm going to build what we've got so far. So guys, welcome back. For you, it was not even a millisecond. For me, it was like 10 minutes. But I decided on something. We've got two bodies now. Now this is going to be the default nice armor with the Gorget chunk of armor there. Second option is the other Gorget. Of course, it's on the cloth background, but yeah, and that's now attached there to these legs. Now, at worst, if I do really like this, I can just make it that. Now, back onto the problem, though. We've got this power fist. And we could add something like a bit of armor here. This is one of those Space Marine Crusader bits that I have left over. We could add something like that, but I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that. We have a few options. I don't really know. I want the fist to be really out there, like he's kind of holding it open. It's actually, and again, I toss it off the table. It's actually in a really good position to kind of be like he's holding his hand up, giving orders, right? So I'm just going to hold that over here now. So my idea is something like the model will be if I can find a way to hold this. Something like this. Hold him, kind of so he's holding his hand up, kind of giving like an order kind of idea. Actually, you know what? I've got something just off camera that can help. Okay, sorry, once again, welcome back. I have this. I bought this. Sorry, I'm trying to get this to just glue temporarily on the base so he's holding him. I bought this a few years back. Pretty much have never used it. This was when I still kind of bought into GW's gimmick of here's a thing that looks like it could be useful. And in most cases it isn't. But this was actually not bad. Now originally this is for like building or kit bashing or something. He's still not working. Anyway. But this will give us an actual good idea on how we want the pose. So I'm going to have the hand. We're going to kind of do something like this. So he's holding his hand up, kind of like a commander, kind of telling the guys behind him to hold, kind of like in, actually kind of like the elf. I can't remember his name now. Lord of the Rings, the first movie, when it shows the battle that Sauron was defeated in. But where he says hold and then to shoot the arrows. So I'm thinking something like that for his right arm, but for his left arm is where it gets a little bit more iffy. Because we need, or at least I want, a bolt pistol for it to be accurate. But we can't really edit the bolt pistol easily, so we may have to find some kind of other weapon. Which, actually, there was also an option. The Power Fist is there. But I do have this left over from the Ash Waste Nomads. Now, as you can see, the thumb and the one finger were broken off. Because all of the little itty bits that GW makes are not really great to sit in a bits box forever. Which brings us to these two kits here. Now, this is all of my spare bits that are just broken weapon bits, or weapons I clipped, or weapons I just replaced. So, for instance, all of my orcs, I cut off their left-hand weapon to fit a shield on, to make them shield orcs. So now I have a few of these that I haven't used up yet. I've got stuff like Dwarven Maces from Fireforge. I have Stormcast Eternal Blades. I have a hammer from, I think, Perry Miniatures. I've got flail bits, all kinds of stuff. My original idea was to replace... Actually, I'm not thinking it's really that possible to do it. I was going to replace the power claw fingers with some kind of blade that are all roughly the same size. I'm not really seeing anything that would work. Samurai weapons like these Yarrick bits might. By the way, I could be saying wrong. Yarrick might be just the spears, and these might be something else. I think the blades that are curved, though, are Yarrick. But either way, something like this could maybe work. Where'd that hand go? I don't know. If we have, like, kind of like connected at the knuckle, it could work. Kind of like a Wolverine, like Wolverine's claws, but I don't know. Only problem is I also don't have a whole lot of those in here. I could find a few more and then clip them, but I'm not really sure. This is kind of my thought process as I kit bash a model, where I kind of think of, oh, this would be cool, but then I kind of figure out how my bits will work towards it, or how I might have to find stuff. Real quick, we are going to visit the bits box, because while sometimes it's good to leave kind of a project in the background and kind of leave that to, as I think of more stuff. So I'm going to start thinking about how I'm going to fit this guy onto a base. Now, obviously, he needs a tactical rock. He can't just be basic height. We have stuff like this las cannon ammo pack. We've got a few other bits like this is a heavy weapon team tripod. We got gas cans. We do have some bits like this from the Cadian upgrade sprue. Actually, come to think of it, I just bought a kit of Cadian upgrade sprue. I should have, like a little while ago. That's the one that I made this guy from. So I should have another few bits. Give me a second. So I turned off this and I came on to a really cool revelation, like I said, that I should have more of these. Turns out this specifically comes from, I'm fairly sure, the Rogel Dorn kit, because the Cadian upgrade sprue is lacking anything. There's like that bag there, but that's not really going to work, obviously. I do have actually What I do have is, give me 1 second. Okay, I collected that off camera again. Same thing. Anyway, doesn't matter. My buddy, as part of my commission for my buddy, I said, do you mind if I take any bits? And he's like, yeah, no, do whatever. I could take one of these from the artillery team, and that would be a pretty good tactical rock for him to stand on. And then I could fill up this with maybe this thing. I don't know. But in short, we got something like that. Let's see if he's sticking yet. If he's not... Oh, he is. Okay. Well, you know. You know what? Doesn't matter. He's supposed to be temporary anyway. So, we'll move him off real quick. If I put him on something like this, he will be kind of tall. It'll give that bit more imposing, notable look. So I put that kind of right there. Put him on top. And then, yeah, I think that'd be pretty good. So I guess we've got the tactical rock he's going to be standing on. And this is what I'm talking about, though. This is where I mentioned keep the project in the background while you do your own thing and do something else. While I was looking for the sprue bits, I found this. I have a spare chunk of sprues that my buddy gave me. And most of this is just old guard bits, right? Actually, this one can snap in half. Most of that's useless now. It's an empty sprue. But it's got some good stuff on it. Now let's start with this one here. And we got a few hands here. So we're going to leave these. First, we'll look at this one. So we have this open hand. This could be useful for something. I'm not quite sure. For now, this is kind of what we're thinking of. At worst, you can cut the hand off. I can find a different hand to put there to hold a weapon. And then, from there, maybe graft the bolt pistol onto. So, just a second. I'm going to reattach this guy now. There we go. There goes that hand again. We're going to put the power fist there. We're going to lock this guy in here. Now, this is kind of what we're looking at. He's going to be standing, blah, blah, blah. You get that. So I'm thinking, if we have him like this, right? Sorry, it'd be great if my camera would focus on him so you could actually see what I'm trying to show you. I'm going to actually lock my camera in so it focuses on that area. Now, we do have a few left arms, but where did that one left arm go? So, here it is. So we got a few options. So, back to the old sprues, I've got this hand which is holding a chain sword, okay? Now, that could be something. We could have something here. We're going to clip that in there real quick. So he could be... And again, this is not for the chain sword. This is... The chain sword just happens to be the arm. So the hand's holding the chain sword, right? But we can cut off the chain sword and switch in a piece of bolter. Alternatively, now, our current idea was that we were going to use this power fist. But what if we don't? So if we go back to this, I can replace every finger on this with those katana things. And that'll make his left arm, the one with the heavy weapon, that'll also make it a bit more unique from the actual Yarrick model. If we do that, then the bolter's fine, and the left arm will be the power weapon instead, and it'll look more like a claw. Unfortunately, it won't be as big and as imposing as Yarrick's claw, but, you know, this is a counts as model anyway. I'm not the biggest fan of that, though, because I still like the idea that at least he's supposed to represent Yarrick, so the power weapon's supposed to be the right hand, so I'm not sure, but this is also an option. If that doesn't work, though, we do have this hand. And now, with this hand, what we can do is try to find something equivalent to a bolt pistol, maybe in here, and kind of replace his left hand with that, or at least his left hand weapon with that. Only problem is I don't believe I really have anything like that. We got some leftover tank bits, stuff like that, some bolter weapons, but nothing really that is exactly what I'm looking for, because like all the bolters are either proper tank bolters, or they're even these little bitty bolters. I can't even find the little bitty bolter I'm trying to show you. Maybe this thing? Yes, this thing. These little itty bitty bolters too. So, I can't really come up with anything in that regard. We could look into our other bits. Ooh, there's a knife there. I like that bit. Again, these things are like little Lego sets. I love how many cool bits you can slowly collect. But, oh, I'll be back. I gotta find out what just hit the floor. I have returned. It was a little arm. Now, we kind of have reached an impasse where I have to decide on how I'm going to progress. So of course this fell. Why wouldn't that fall? Let's put that back there. We're kind of stuck in at an impasse on how to progress. I think the best option is to just force ourselves to go forward. So I think what we're going to do is, I like this chainsword. I'm going to leave that chainsword alone. We're going to keep that off to the side. What we can do, no matter what, is we can save the chainsword for something else. We can switch to this. And no matter what, we can actually remove the power weapon. So what we'll do, let's grab this. No matter what, I can't use this for anything else. So no harm in experimenting with it. So we clip off the bit we won't need, right? Which is this cape thing. I'm going to throw that out real quick. And then what we are going to do is we are going to get... where'd I put it? Here it is. We'll clean it off real quick. You see all these little bits that we don't need. Clip that off, so on. Now what we can do, be very careful when you're doing this, obviously. But I've clipped it down too, so the plating is flat. Only problem is now we do not have really any weapons, because all we have is the one hook. You know, that's not really that useful. So let's see about one of these. So obviously, let's cut this off. What we can do is use these blades kind of like a knuckle. Now let's see roughly how long it's going to be. Assuming I cut it off here, it is going to be significantly longer than the originals. But that could still be fun, you know? You also have to consider this is a very thin piece. This is thicker. But this might break in the future. But you know what? There's nothing to life without risk. So give me one moment. I'm going to try and clean off a bit of my desk and find wherever I put my knife. You know what's fun is clearing off your table only to find out that, you know, and then remaking the mess essentially from the start. Because your knife does no longer exist on your table. I think actually, you know what? I'm going to check one last place first. Yeah, no, it wasn't there. It is fun to search through your entire table to then find out your knife is not on said table. However, we do have other bits. So, I did find this, which is maybe something. I don't know. I found this, which could be cool. It's the Cadian upgrade sprue guy holding his gun, but I shaved it down to fit my tank commander, and it's not so good. Honestly, I'm not quite sure. I do have this hand, which is like actually, let's see, what even is this hand? Oh, some kind of tank commander hand, I think. Well, there it goes. I don't know what it's supposed to even be. I think it's supposed to... oh, you know what? I think it's supposed to hold the binoculars for the heavy weapon team. Or something, yeah. Well, I don't really know. I'm gonna go get another knife. Be back. Never mind. Right as I went to leave, I saw my knife. So, we are back. Got the knife. So, now I have to clean off this mess. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take all of these spots and trim them down. Be very careful with this. Do not cut yourself. If you're doing something similar, obviously. You don't need to do this at all to make your own Yarrick. I'm just doing this because this is what I like. Now that leaves us with this final finger. Actually, here. Shave that down a bit more flat. And instead of, before I get rid of this finger, I might actually use it kind of as an anchor point. Actually, no. I will. So to make this one easier, I'm going to take the clippers and go right to the edge of his fingers. Clip it. There we go. Nice and flat. Now this isn't going to be perfect, but what I did do while I was looking for my knife was I found a couple of these. Sorry, that's a spear. A couple of these. Some more of these. So by the way, this is the design thing. I'm not sure if this was a mistake, because this one's thinner, this one's thicker. But this is what I want. So we're going to steal another one of these. blades. Oh, that was close. I think it is a miss sprue alignment or something. So I've got two of them down here. You can't see them really. That's fine. What I'll do is I'll pause this. I'll quickly get a third one. Okay, so I went off camera, found another one. The sheer fact that I was able to find three of these that are exactly built the same leads me to believe this was not a failure on the manufacturer's point. I think this was just the way they were supposed to be designed. Which, you know, possible too. It still could be a failure, but I don't know. I think it's probably intentional. I don't know. It's been a while since I had my samurai opened up. So here, I'm actually going to clean this off for you guys. There, maybe make it a bit more visible for you. I'm going to zoom in so we all can look at this random bit of paper and plastic. So we're going to grab these three blades and this hand. Now you're zoomed in a lot, so please don't copy my fingerprints. We're going to quickly do a bit of that. And I'm just going to leave that on the ground for a moment. We're going to just dampen the edge of this. Hopefully that didn't mess it up too bad. So now I shouldn't have to flatten this too well. So we're going to hold that together for a moment. And it looks awful. Yeah, I definitely should have looked at that beforehand. I don't like it. Actually, it's not the worst. Worst part is from this side, it doesn't look crazy bad, but then you look at it from the side and it looks awful. Maybe what I'll do is I'll glue it, and once it dries, I'll trim down. Actually, I could probably trim it down now. Get that out of the way there. And that happens. So we're just going to take that off. I'm going to trim off that. We're going to trim off that. It's still not amazing. Especially that. I don't know. If you guys have any opinions on how this ends up, because I'm mid. I haven't really planned this out. I don't really plan out my stuff. Comment on what your thoughts are on this, like just how it looks here before I do any more adjustments. I might still stick with this because it's not crazy bad, but it's not amazing either. It's kind of funky for sure. I'm gonna pause for a second here. Hey, welcome back. So I trimmed this down even more. I got rid of most of the stuff on the edge. Now it looks even. Now it's got even less points of contact. I don't know. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. You know what? I have an idea. No need to connect it right there, eh? Yeah, I have an idea. I'm actually going to do this off camera to show you. I'm just going to speed this along. Hey guys, so now that I'm back, again, you guys have seen none of these transitions. At some point I'm going to get good at them. But this is what I did. I trimmed down the edge of the blades and then put them on the back of the fingers instead. So now I get the structural integrity because they are actually attached to the fingers rather than just the little edges. On top of that, you still get the finger design, and this also allows me to actually continue making a power claw-like item. So let's revisit that now. So I'm going to get the thumb on and then we'll continue. Alrighty people, well that went well. You won't get to see it just yet, it's a bit of a surprise. But let's zoom out a bit. So this is what we got for the main guy. Now we got the legs, we got the body. Now, here's the thing. Oop, just dropped that arm. We need a pose. Now, this is very out there and also doesn't really line up right. So we're not going to do that arm. But I did have, where did it go? That is a Chaos Marauder arm. Now, I could do, this is an old Cadian arm I have, something like this with the claw hand. I was originally going to do the bolt hand, but I think I'll do the claw hand, or the power hand. And so we could do something like this, but I also kind of want it angled differently. But I'm going to have to cut off quite a little bit. Something like that. But you know what? This is an old crash arm anyway. Let's do it. Let's just cut away. So, you got to be careful. You don't want to cut too much. You don't want to cut too little. We're going to just kind of trim it. That's what we're going to do. Be very careful not to cut your thumb doing this kind of thing, by the way. So we've already trimmed it a bit, and that's already changed up the pose a little bit. Yeah, I like that. I like that. What we'll do, right, is we have the bolter, or the bolt pistol, so let's grab the bolt pistol and attach it once I can find it. You guys should learn from me, never leave your space a mess. I would highly not recommend it. I used to have this sorted, but now I don't. That's just kind of how it goes after a bit. Now you could normally clean off that edge there, but the thinner will deal with it. This stuff, extra thinner, cement, plastic cement will deal with it. So I want him to kind of have a relaxed pose with his bolter. He's not aiming at anything. Okay. He's not aiming. Yeah, I did put thinner on there. He's not aiming. You know what? I was wrong. You should have cleaned that off. It's not letting it do its thing. Let's quickly add more thinner. Never, ever grab the super thin. My buddy had me build with the super thin. That stuff's a nightmare. It just dries too quickly. So I want him to be... Problem is, we're actually coming up with the same issue. So I said I want him to be relaxed, right? This is not enough. I need the pose to be a little different, so we're going to trim this one too. And at worst, this one's not a problem with me trimming it because I can just fix it if I mess up. Again, trim only a little bit. There. It's a bit better of an angle. Hopefully. Put more extra thin cement on there. Sorry for the fact this thing doesn't really focus right. Something like that, right? Because now he's a little relaxed. He's got the gun kind of in the air. Yeah, I like that. And now, we can look at how this arm's going to attach. Camera's focusing on the wrong thing. Arm's going to attach pretty well, I think. I like that. So what we're going to do, though, be careful when you do this. Take the knife and we're going to trim this a bit. Now be very careful. Do not put too much force in. Your blade should always be sharp enough to cut. And you should always be careful not to stab yourself. Because like if I'm going to do the black blade, if I push too hard, this will obviously end up cutting into here. So you have to have a lot of knife control. I was a butcher before I even started dealing with minis. So I'm really good with a knife. In fact, here, look at my hands. Not a single... Sorry, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I might have scars, but as you can see, not a single cut on any of my hands. At least right now. It's not really a fair... kind of explanation half the time. I end up cutting my fingers anyway when I'm doing this. But yeah, just be very careful. Always have proper control. Never put too much energy into a cut. If you're putting a lot of energy into cutting something, especially something as soft as this plastic, you are doing something wrong. You need to replace your blade. This was recently replaced. This is probably a couple days old at most. You can see there's no nicks, no little bits of the knife that have caught on anything, no broken bits. The tip breaks often, so maybe I should just do a video on knife safety, or at least as I've done it. Anyway, the tip actually has lost a tiny bit of a point. You can see that, but that's natural. It'll just do that as time goes on. Eventually you may snap off the edge completely. But if this starts getting nicks in it, stuff like that, starts getting hard to cut through plastic, replace that blade. So anyway, now that we've let this cure for a few seconds, this is what he looks like. And let's take a visit at the claw hand. This is what we ended up with. I cut the thumb one down a bit more so it's a little bit smaller. So the only problem now is... No, it's all good. The thinner, I'm going to have to rework that one blade. You know, we're just going to take that blade off for now because it's getting annoying. It's in the way. But you can see this is not even, so obviously trim that down a bit. Be careful, again, not to cut yourself. Talking to you guys, I'm all good. Definitely not talking myself into this. Oh, now we've come across a small issue. He's got the officer bit there. This is a basic Cadian arm, so it doesn't have that. So we'll revisit the sprue if I can find the sprue. Which was not a problem because obviously the area around my table is completely clean. Got it. And this one. So I'm going to look. A quick look shows that we do have, that one's got a map. I like the map, so I'm probably not going to touch that one. The chainsword hand does have the proper bit, but I don't want to damage that chainsword. I like the chainsword. Unfortunately, I may just kind of have to overlook... Well, actually, it's a power fist anyway. Yeah, I'm going to just overlook this one. What we're going to do... Almost lost it. So we're just going to ignore that. We're going to put that right on there. So, let's trim off this bit of the arm. Just get rid of that completely. And then... Simple. Get a bit of plastic cement on there, on the hand. Sorry, it's focusing on the wrong thing. Whatever. One thing, if you're going to be touching plastic cement, I would highly recommend wearing gloves regularly of some kind. I'm not sure what glove would be the best. At my work, we deal with something similar to our plastic cement, thinner for inks. And it actually breaks through silicone after a little bit, pretty easily. It's a little weaker than this, because this is built purely to break down plastic, but it's still not great. And we had a coworker who didn't wear gloves while dealing with it. They ended up getting chemical burns right all over their finger that they were cleaning stuff with. So yeah, don't do that. Health and safety should always be your top priority. Much like how losing blades is mine, apparently. Don't know where that went. I legitimately have no idea where that went. Oh, that's great. Oh, there it is. We found it. We're good. Sorry, I'm trying to show you. Okay, you know what? We're going to get the blade on first. You know what? Give me a sec. I'm just gonna speed run mixing these things together. Sorry, I did super glue. If it isn't obvious, I don't think you guys can really see that from there. I added super glue in between the knuckles. We're going to just speed run this because I've gotten tired of trying to angle this. If you have more patience, by all means, let the stuff cure. But I don't. So there we go. Now it's held in place. Those two are fine. This one will be falling off, obviously, so we'll probably do that too. We'll speed run that. The plastic cement long term is probably better, but it doesn't really matter to me. This just has to look good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. Whole point of my army is that they are doing their best to maintain an air of that they're, still the Imperium and still perfect and flawless and all that, lie. And it's not working. So they're still super professional, but they are not doing great. Again, Plastic cement's probably better for all this, but you know what? I'm just going to do this quickly because this video is already 40 minutes long, and that's a while. So there we go, something like that. And then I think we will just we won't do anything crazy fancy, so I'm just going to close my baking soda box. We aren't going to do anything crazy fancy. We will revisit the heads, and we will grab, which I don't think I ever showed you the heads I was kind of stuck between. Mainly because I wasn't really stuck between any. We're going to revisit the heads, and we're just going to go with the basic Cadian Commander head. Now my only thing is I might give him, I'm peeling that off now. I kind of wanted his arm to be more like this. So we're going to actually take that off. What we will do, this is what we'll do. We will attach the head, because the head is 100% sorted. We are all good. We will have to decide the angle we want him to be looking. We want to kind of his action to be. I'm thinking, normally I go with the left. I might actually go with him facing our right, his left. Something like that, and then we will have his hand. Oh, of course we will drop it, his hand. Maybe we'll have him doing something like this. You know, he just reminded me of Edward Scissorhands. That's great. Okay, well, I guess this is Commander Edward Scissorhands then. Yeah, okay. You know what we'll do is let us melt his arm on. We'll create our Edward Scissorhands abomination, and we'll of course drop the arm down on the ground again one last time before he's finished being built. There we go. He's not perfect by any means, but I like him. You know, he's kind of got his own style. He's got the right kind of Imperial Guard officer kind of kit. He's got the cool hat, not as big as it could be, or as it should be. Of course, that's kind of the fact it's a Cadian Commander Sergeant helmet head and not a hat, and not a Commissar hat. And on top of that, most Commissar hats suck now for 40k. None of them are as big as they should be. But he's got the bolter, he's got the power claw hand, and now I just got to put him onto a permanent base. So I only put glue under his left, or his left shoe. You got to be careful doing this. I'm just gonna snap him off, hopefully. You know what you can do if you're very careful. You can take these because they're angled, right? Just snip at the back of the foot. And largely, you shouldn't damage anything. The shoe should be fine. Don't do that too often, though, because you'll end up snipping half the foot away at some point. Oh, come on, Commander. Hold your arm there. There we go. And then what we'll do is we will take this base that we went with, and I don't want to fix those shoe marks, so we can grab... Oh, sorry, I found another crate. I don't know where I got this. I think this is the tank upgrade sprue. But we're going to go with this one, because this is a bit more modern, looks a bit better. What we're going to do is just some basic super glue. None of this dirt is plastic, so plastic glue is not going to do much. See that? Perfect. There's already a magnet, so I don't need to magnetize it. And we will hide the boot prints with this. Now, obviously, this is not going to stick perfectly. It's an uneven surface on a very flat item. So what we will do is we will take the baking soda from the side that we just put away and bring it back into service. And what we'll do is, you could also use dirt. I do have dirt. I could do dirt with this. I don't want to, though, just because I want this to be more of a gradual build-up. There's also cat hair everywhere now, because my cat's hanging around. So, this is obviously the most obvious part, so we are going to kind of soak that area in super glue, not too much. We are going to do this. As you can see, we have all of that. I'm just going to paint that muck brown anyway, so it's kind of like a mud sucking up against the wood of the crate. Take our blade and trim off those mold lines. Again, always be careful with your knife. Don't want to cut yourself. I've been doing this for a few years, so I've kind of gotten a feel for how to do this without cutting myself in most cases. Then we're going to do this side, same thing. Just blow off the excess. There we go. Now be careful, because I just stuck my finger to there because there's a little bit of excess super glue. But largely this will be fine. Now we got a nice crate sitting on a bit of mud sucking in. And because these are the plastic, what we're going to do, I put super glue on this shoe, so you can't just put plastic thinner on there and expect it to work. You got to trim off a bit of a layer, because the super glue will... Okay, this arm can come off for now because it's just getting in the way now. So I'm scraping it right now with the back end of the knife. Rough it up a little bit, get some of that super glue off. Then you end up with just the shoe. Do a bit of thinner on both of the shoe. Doing this kind of reminds me of that scene in Toy Story where he puts the paint on Woody's shoe. And then you put him where you want him to put him. So we're going to put him standing on the crate like... let's say like this. So that nail is going to be in the way. So let's just trim that one off, just so it doesn't get in the way. We can put a bit of thinner there. And we'll just use his shoe to mark off the other point. So it didn't really work, but we do know where his other foot's going. Right here. And then we put a bit more on the feet so they get nice and melty. Put them on, and then we can redo this arm because finally we are done this model, or at least building him. Put a bit of thinner on both sides. There we go. Hold for 3 to 5 seconds. One is it doing? Actually, oh, so sorry, that's a bit heavy, so you can't just do that. There we go. This is my Commissar Yarrick. He's going to be a bit taller than his buddies in the guard, but that's fine. Let's take a normal Acadian Castellan right beside him. A little bit shorter, so we're all good there. And now we've got this Yarrick all set up. Got his power claw, got his bolter. Obviously Yarrick has that double bolter thing. Oh, he does have a backpack. So I do have two choices. I can carve that off, or I can find a backpack for him. Now, one thing I've noticed playing Darktide is that bit on the back is actually pretty much what the guards' backpacks, or backs of their armor, just looks like. They actually have that in universe. I guess it's like a mounting bracket. I don't like it, though. And I'm not going to put anything on him. Except I could, actually. Sorry. Don't take my words as truth. There. We do have a cape here. We could give him a little bear cape. That'd bulk him up a little bit. Only problem is I'd have to trim a lot to get him to fit. And we are not going to trim him. So no, he won't get a cape. I don't like the armor, so we're going to clip that off. I just noticed, you can't even see it, there's a chain on the back of his thing. Oh, that's to hold the gorget from him. Anyway, we'll trim that down a little bit. It's hard to see, sorry. Okay, fine, I'll take those bits off, because apparently it hasn't cured enough yet. There we go. Nice and clean. Then we just plastic glue, plastic glue, plastic glue, plastic glue. You know what? Maybe it's this arm that's also being part of the problem. Scrape off a good layer of that. redo the plastic glue. There we go. And then plastic glue, plastic glue, plastic glue. Hold for 3 to 5 seconds. And like hard together too. Hold it tight. Oh. Let's get that off. Didn't need any Uhu glue, thank you very much. 3 to 5 seconds. Ooh, actually. Kind of designing his, there we go. Commissar Yarrick. Good to see you, my friend. Alrighty, I think I'm all good. We can always add little decorations, maybe a banner or something to him. I don't think Yarrick ever really had a banner though. I had a few bits, like a cape or two, but they're a bit big. They're Stormcast. I'm not seeing anything I can really use to add to him. I had somewhere, I have this. I could do something like that. Give him a little backpack banner. I don't know. I think we're okay. I think we're all good. Anyway, I hope you guys liked that video, long one. I'll do a little 10-minute version, maybe, just to overview what I did, but yeah. Hope you guys enjoy that video. Please like and subscribe. Have a good night. You have any ideas for future videos, leave them in the comments. Appreciate you watching the video, especially if you watch it this far, especially for this hour-long video. Hope you enjoy. Bye.